What's up, everybody? We're here with another episode of Against.The.Galaxy podcast. You missed us last week. We hung out, we talked, we podcasted, but we didn't hit record. So, growing pains of doing this new thing, and we're going to try to make sure we're not missing anything. But we're going to recap what we talked about real quick. We had a couple PQs since the last time we were here. We'll mention those. But real quick, got to shout out all the social medias. Make sure you're following us Instagram, Twitter, hit us up on Discord. We're all over the place. We love interacting with you guys. Don't stop. Do the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell all your friends. We really want to keep growing the channel, and we do so with your help. So we appreciate it, and keep it up. With me today, we got a slightly shortened cast. I got Nick,
What's up?
and I got Mike with me.
What's going on?
But the three of us definitely have plenty to talk about with the two PQs since the last cast. First of all, big news that we talked about plenty, but we'll give the short recap here. Nicky wins another PQ, takes down his second, both times with Kira. Want to run us through the day real quick for you?
Yeah, sure. It was a fun day for sure. Um, I guess quick, I'll recap the list. It was pretty much the same as last time with a couple changes. The most notable change is the restock in the main deck. I'm not super high on it, but I think it's kind of a necessary include since some of the Kira mirrors can go down to deck outs and Kira is on the rise still. I was expecting to play a lot more of it than I did, but I did play it once in the finals. I never cast the restock all day, but it's there and has a purpose, and I think it needs to stay. And then on the sideboard, the Arquitten's Assault Cruiser. That card was insane all day. I got to play it against any of the hero space decks with home one in it. So the Rays and Hans, both Han one and Han two. I didn't play any Han two, but it's really good there as well. I loved that card, and it was even really good for me in the finals when I ramped off his, I think it was Inferno 4. But card was pretty insane. List is still pretty stock. At this point, it's outdated since Wu's regional championship win this past weekend. His list is a little more updated than this, but I'm liking where Kira's at and glad that I got to take down that PQ.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, we're beating a dead horse with both this deck and Sabine that we're going to get to in a minute, but decks are good. We keep playing them, and we keep playing well with them. So staying a little bit updated is always a good thing and something we're trying to share with people. So that brings us to the second PQ, right in our very backyard. Zombie Planet hosted their first PQ. All five of us went. That was the good news. Two of us made top 8. That was also good news. It was, it's nice to be at your local store. I want to say that first and foremost. It's nice going to where you play weeklies to play in a PQ. There's a certain level of comfort that's nice. You know what I mean? I'm going out to smoke a cigarette in the same spot that I go to smoke cigarettes in. It's just I know where to run around the corner and grab a sandwich. Like there's just certain things that are nice and not being in a new city. I wasn't one of the top 8, so I'll kind of stop talking for a minute, switch over to Mike because he had a top 8 finish.
Yeah, so I wanted to play Kira this weekend, switch it up from Sabine. So I played Nicky's exact 70 from what he just won his last PQ with in Rochester. Basically took the deck, sleeved it up, and said, all right, let's see what happens. So a pretty good day overall. I was 4-1-1. We played 6 rounds. The restock did come up for me that was important in my winning in to top 8. I was able to restock in my game 1 against the mirror, and that allowed me to easily take care of the game 1, and we did not get to finish. Unfortunately, I did not get to finish a game again in my top 8 match. There was a little bit of a hiccup with the judging and the tournament running where we only had 55 minutes in the first round of top 8. So obviously a little frustrating when you're playing Kira and you don't get those extra 20 minutes when you go to the top 8. So I had too much damage on my base when we went to time in the game 3 against my Vader opponent, and it knocked me out. I had a pretty good hand. I had a way to stabilize. So a very frustrating way to go. Definitely understandable for our hometown's first PQ to start, but the administrative stuff, I think that's low-hanging fruit to kind of work through and get right. So it was very frustrating, and we had a conversation after with the judge, and they switched it to 75 minutes for top four in the finals. So at least it did get switched over. At least they did do the right thing in the end. It's just unfortunate that it affected me in that way.
Yeah, I mean, you got it the worst. Hiccups at this level of a tournament. We're all human. We all make mistakes, but it hurts a little bit more when it's, in something that is so serious. Luckily, you do already have your bye. It's not like this was taking something huge away from you, but at the same time, you don't want your tournament to end that way. There's still prizing to be had. There's still pride to be had. Nicky's sitting there with two mats and making us all look silly. So we got to catch up to him, and losing that opportunity was rough. I was watching that game. You were way ahead. I mean, not I guess in life total, but you were way ahead in that game. I mean, Kira's not gonna be way ahead in life total as it's stabilizing. So it was definitely frustrating to watch, for the team.
Yeah, I mean, your opponent's board was completely empty, and your hand was really good. And did you even still have a couple units in play? It was just like the game was completely over. And you even had a chance to win that game if you drew a vigilance, and you could have just vigilanced up your base, but unfortunately you didn't draw it and time was called. So it happens, but yeah, like we're saying, very frustrating.
Yeah,
I think it'd be just as frustrating at 75 minutes, but the fact that you didn't get your last 20, I mean, this can absolutely happen, even if you have the full amount of time. The tie-breaking system is rough. I think the regionals and the sectors did it best with the untimed top cut rounds, but tournament rules say 75, so they just kind of have to at least be going by that, and then to not even get that is it. It was rough.
yeah, I mainly wanted to stay alive to play against Eric. We were on opposite sides of the bracket, so it keeps somebody in the tournament who has their bye already to have an opportunity for it to get passed down to him, and then I would have enjoyed the opportunity to show him that Kira might be a little bit better than Sabine in a finals match, but unfortunately we did not. We both did not get there.
Yeah. So Eric's the other top 8 competitor from our team. Um, he got all the way to top 4 and then lost to a Han Green deck. It's a tough matchup. You need to draw nearly perfectly from the Sabine side. I mean, I wish he was here. He could talk about it a little bit more, but as somebody who has reps into that matchup like plenty, you need to draw very well. You can win, but it's not a given. And unfortunately, Eric didn't draw well in those games and kind of got blown out. He broke the golden rule. So tough way to go. He was super close to getting that by. The way it worked out, it was actually there was no pass downs. The two players in top 8 that had by Mike and Jason both lost either in top 8 or top 4. So he would have had to win the whole thing to get it. So he did still have a little more ways to go, but he was having a real good day. I thought this might have been the chance for him. A lot of different ways to get eliminated from a tournament, and unfortunately, you and Eric both took some of the worst paths. The one other thing that this PQ kind of symbolized was our last chance to really get PQs in for this season. So with kind of the window closing, we are on to next set, seeing what combinations of cards feel like they're playing well, seeing what other people are trying out, seeing all this new stuff, and we've definitely had some standouts in our very early testing. These cards here, Gunji, Oggdo, Bogdo, and Ethkoth have been just in so many decks. I mean, I know I personally have built 10 decks that you guys have shared with me. Mike, you want to tell us why you think these 3 cards are kind of going to define a little bit of the meta going forward?
Yeah, Gunji has represented kind of the switch in 2-drops. There's a blue 2-drop that is another 2/4 with restore 1, Yaddle, and then the other 2-drop that's red is a 2/4 that deals damage when your opponents play events. It's a shift in the stat line, and Gunji gets the extra toughness for not having a text box. But these are units that are going to live through a 3/3 attacking into them like a Battlefield Marine and be able to trade back if they need to. They hold General's Blades very well to reduce the cost of your next unit after you play them on turn 1 and are very unlikely to die after turn 1 if your opponent's not playing Power of the Dark Side. So very resistant. The units are a lot stickier when they're 2/4s and 2/5s as opposed to just 3/3s.
Especially the 2/5. I mean, the fact that you can't just open fire their 2-drop, it's like a pretty big deal.
I've been loving Oggdo Bogdo so far. I've played him in a couple different lists. In a Han2 blue list, he was pretty good, but definitely not as good in that list as he has been in Kira. He's just been a monster. I mean, this card synergizes so well in that Kira deck, both with the leader ability and with Dr. Pershing, that I think it's like a perfect fit for him. That curve of Dr. Pershing into Oggdo Bogdo and then just attack the next turn, and you get to continually get value out of him by killing something, healing up, and then either putting another damage on him with Pershing or Kira. That I've just found myself getting so much value out of this card that it's insane. It also helps you turn the corner a lot faster when you're swinging for 5 instead of your usual swing for 2 or 3 out of a 3 drop. Additionally, it's a very nice body to overwhelming barrage off of, which is something that I've found the data vault lists didn't have early on. So this gives you another option. Overall, I've just been very impressed with this card, and I expect to see it in a lot of Kira decks going forward. Definitely will be looking for these in hyperspace.
Yeah, it's interesting how the card it can be a very aggressive card, but it also can just be like the ultimate defensive card where like they just play a unit and you just eat it every single turn because like you have the ability to keep turning it on, healing the damage, turning it back on, healing the damage. It's like a one-sided abyss.
Yeah, I watched a game today where Mike's opponent played an Ogdo Bogdo on the free resource turn, and then he was just like had to shift to the space lane or like play other cards. He couldn't just go to the ground for a couple turns until he could really handle the Ogdo Bogdo, which without him even attacking shows the true power of what's going on there.
You know, for sure. It's a card that we will see a lot of definitely moving forward. The fact that it's not heroic or villainy, I think it's just gonna see homes in so many different places and everybody trying to get the right amount of value from this. Like you're saying, even with overwhelming barrage, like even a 5/5 that can't do anything, like, well, that's still a pretty big thing that I get to overwhelming barrage off of.
Yeah, one of the key points in the Kira versus Sabine matchup this set was if Kira can get kept off of a good overwhelming barrage target, whether that's ambush your K2 or heroic sack some smaller unit into the Kira after it flips. That could be a bit of a turning point in allowing Sabine to stay alive for a little longer to get that extra couple points in. This Ogdo Bogdo is really good where if you just like play this early, they either have to kill it or I'm going to have an overwhelming barrage target at some point.
And another card that I've been putting into a lot of decks that I've been playing is this Entcdxx. Just a 4 mana 5/4. That's like a good body. It's felt good on curve, just like as a unit itself. And then the when defeated being able to ramp, like really get you up to those bigger units that can be so impactful in some games. It feels like that whole when defeated you can use the force. It's feeling more and more like getting the force is something that like if you decide that that's what we're doing today, like you're just gonna have the force often. So you end up looking for more ways to use the force as opposed to more ways to get the force. I think ETH cost like at all points in the game is just always good. It reminds me a lot of K2, where you put down a unit that's like a respectable body, and then even if they kill it, you're still getting value off of it. So like it's the ultimate win-win situation.
One thing to note about this card that I completely got blown out today because I didn't read it, is it's not like super laser tech. It does come into play exhausted. So I was
Sure.
sitting there waiting to use 6 resources, threw him at one of their guys, and I was like, oh, all right, well, I still only have 5 resources. This isn't very good anymore. So definitely keep an eye out for that, but still, the card's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the difference between a 5/4 for 4 and a 2/1 for 3. Like if they're not killing it, you could still use this to like kind of clock them. Like they have to kill this as opposed to super laser tech where like they would try to avoid giving you the opportunity to kill it. So
Yeah.
there's definitely differences, but the not coming into play ready is something that's you got to be aware of for sure. Got a couple of the big boys we got here: Keller and Beck, big 7 drop; Darth Vader, big 6 drop. These cards seem like where you want to get to. Keller and Beck, especially in the hero green, like we've been testing out a lot of different like blue-green hero stuff, a lot of Force, a lot of Jedi, and this is on the same spot as Luke on the curve, which is a little bit stressful. But man, if you're not playing blue, there's just not a better 7-drop in heroic that I think you would want to play. He's a lot like the original Darth Vader, where you're looking at a large chunk of your library for a unit, and if it's 3 or less, it's free. But he also has the added versatility of like if you're playing him on a bigger turn, or if you've used the unit that discounts his cost by 2, now all of a sudden you just have access to so much more resources, and you can hit bigger things off of him than like Vader ever could. What do you guys think about this card? Do you think it's going to take Luke's spot at 7, or you think there's other stuff you'd rather be playing, or is this kind of going to be it?
I think the Jedi decks are going in a lot of different directions for me right now. I definitely have been playing a lot with green as my main color, but kind of switching back and forth between blue and red. So Kelleran has kind of come in and out for me in my builds of the lists. So I definitely bring him in or keep him in my list when I do switch to my blue version. He is basically a home 1 as well, if you think about it that way, where it gets something additional onto the battlefield, just like a home 1 would for a little bit less. And I think searching into your library for it might be a little more versatile. So maybe it competes with that slot, and you're happy playing him for less because now you get a higher costed unit when you have the 1 play trigger. So it's definitely an interesting card for sure, and definitely something we want to keep looking out for.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know this Darth Vader's got Nicky all types of excited.
Yeah, this card's kind of broken. Reading it, it reads broken. I've been playing it, it plays broken. I'm all kinds of excited for this card. It definitely pulls me in multiple different directions on where I want to build my Kira lists going forward. Because on one hand, I still think Data Vault is insane, and it's going to be very difficult to pull me away from Data Vault. But if there's a card that would pull me away from Data Vault, it would be this one. Because when you ECL this in, a lot of the time, it just feels like the game immediately ends. You play this, you slap a shield on him and on their biggest thing, you ambush into whatever dork they have on the ground, you kill it, pop your own shield, and kill the thing you put the shield on. And you just immediately got a 2-for-1 and left this body of a 5/6 on the ground. So you get an immediate 3-for-1. I don't think I've lost a game when I've played this card, like being completely serious. And I'm even starting to play like 2 to 3 copies of Timely in my ECL deck so that I can do this more often or more consistently. Like if I need the early ECL, then later I'll have this.
Yeah, today was insane. We were playing both big villain control decks, and I slammed a Relentless and thought I might just be able to steal the game with a Relentless on the battlefield. And I had a unit on the ground, not 1 but 2 Timelies, came out of the row, and a Darth Vader. The first one getting countered by the Relentless, and the second one letting the Vader ambush into my ground unit and killing my Relentless. And I was completely dead from that spot. So this can get you out of a lot of things that the Cure Data Vault can't get out of right now. So it's definitely a card I want to keep playing with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you go like super deep and play more copies of Long Pike and try to get more shields on their stuff just so that you get extra attack triggers. It kind of sounds like the way you guys are saying it, you really don't need to do that. That just that first time smacking something is just kind of enough.
Lompike is probably coming back into Kira lists if they're playing ECL anyway. So you might just have Longpike in your deck, making your Darth Vader better, but no, he does not need to be better than he currently is. He has played very well into the decks that we've been testing.
Cool. It's a card I'm definitely excited to test. I like when these can blue green control decks lean more towards the aggressive side. It makes me enjoy playing them a little bit more. When I got to sit there and play restocks in the main, I'm like, you know what? We're gonna stick with Sabine this week.
Yeah, I've been building a cure list that, like you said, leans a bit more aggressive. Topping out at like Maul was my most expensive card, and the idea was to just play efficient units early in the curve, and then still all of the busted blue-green villainy cards of, Power of the Dark Side, Overwhelming Barrage, and then, going back to the Kira ECL show where I get to play Gideon and Lompike, and I get to make my devastating gunships even better. And then this new Vader, where I can just keep slamming efficient threat after efficient threat, cap it off with this Vader, hit an ambush and an overwhelm with Maul, and really just like start putting people in check from there. I haven't gotten enough games with it to see if it's really viable, but the games I was playing against Mike felt good.
Yeah, it's going to be way too early to decide if something's actually viable or not, but we can definitely tell if it's good. You know what I mean? If the cards are feeling well together, if they're playing well together. Even some of the best decks kind of turn out to be not viable just because of how the meta shakes out. But as long as we can find a good, like a way that's working and like seems like it's powerful, it'll be interesting to see once we do have the full set spoiled and we start seeing what the meta breaks out to be. If this is the best way to do it, or if it is best to just stick with that vault and big control.
Well, that's also kind of the interesting part is you keep mentioning what the meta looks like, but we're gonna have 3 weeks from when the set drops. I guess, well, probably around a month from when all the spoilers are out, but 3 weeks to a month from when the set drops to day one of Galactics. I'm not sure we're really going to get like a solidified meta. We don't have any big results to look at between when the set comes out and when we're playing Galactics. It's just whatever we find internally and whatever people are willing to share online. That's kind of what the meta looks like. You can make some
Yeah, no,
guesses. You won't have anything hard and fast.
no, definitely nothing concrete. But I think like we can pretty much all agree that going from set 3 to set 4, we knew Jenga was the deck. You know what I mean? Like the community decided Jenga was the deck, and then we saw that it was really the case. Who knows? We'll see how it shakes out, but there's going to be a lot of people testing, and in this community, it feels like people are pretty open. Not a lot of secrets to be had, and there's a lot of smart people who just kind of do whatever they want. So I think if there is cool decks and powerful decks, I think we're gonna have a decent idea of what to expect. Maybe not what's best, but definitely what to expect.
Yeah, I just think it's gonna be a lot of work. We have that month.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a grind for us as a team. But anybody who's out there just grinding games away with their friends or at their locals, like when the set comes out, they might find something that might be a ringer out of nowhere that we didn't get to see. There's always hits and misses when sets release, and we obviously don't want to be on the miss side of the curve at Galactic, so
No,
it's going to be a lot of work.
for sure. It's been a good time though. I like experimenting with all these new cards, and I mean, if this, it's gonna be what confuses me the most is how much do I worry about the new cards and how much do we just like. I mean, how many decks have really changed from the top of the meta set to set? It seems like bans shake things up more than set releases in this game. So we'll see. But this stuff seems so powerful that we might be at the point where we're at the power creep stage of the game, and every set just like reshapes the meta completely. Speaking of defining the meta, 4 rare bases. We talked about this on the last cast, but obviously that disappeared into the ether. So we're gonna have to go through these again really quick. But these have been wildly important. The common bases that we talked about a few weeks ago, where you just attack with a force unit and you get the force, those are good, but these have really felt like they've been the way you want to get the force. Real quick, they all have 25 health, so they're all roughly that same like ECL Tarkin Town power level. It's a number we're familiar with. It's nothing too weird. The vigilance base is Virgin's Temple. When the regroup phase starts, if you control a unit with 4 more remaining HP, the force is with you. The command base is Mystic Monastery. It has an action. The force is with you. Use this ability no more than 3 times a game. The aggression base is Temple of Destruction. It says when a friendly unit deals 3 or more combat damage to an enemy base, the force is with you. And then the cunning base is Tomb of Ilram. It has action, exhaust a friendly unit as its cost, and then the force is with you. So just ways to get the force multiple times, more or less on demand, or very frequently in the case of the vigilance base. It seems like in all my testing decks, I start with the when I attack with a unit, and then I end up switching to one of these. Have you guys had kind of similar results?
No, I haven't actually. I have only started with these bases, and they have felt super strong. The blue base has been a clear winner for me. It gets the force pretty much every turn. The force token isn't something that you necessarily need to have right away on demand. So when you just happen to get it over the course of your turns throughout the game, it's a very clear winner. It doesn't require the attack. You can kind of dirl around and do some other things. I'm looking at a lot of dirtly decks, so Virgin's Temple has been a lot better for me than the common attack bases. And then Mystic Monastery, if I'm playing any cards that need the force right away, this is the base that I've been trying to play. I don't want to ever miss having the force if I need it for specific cards. So I go to the rare bases pretty much right away.
The blue one's nuts. It seems like, especially with the new statted creatures, the way that they're like kind of shifting power into toughness, it just leads to that 4 toughness kind of being free. It does seem like every single regroup phase you're getting the force. This was the base specifically that I was talking about, where I feel like when you're playing this base, you're looking for ways to use the force as opposed to ways to get the force, because you just have the token all the time. I think my favorite way to use the force turn 1 so far is, I can't think of the card's name, but Jedi Consular maybe. It's the 2 mana unit that is a 1/4, and you can tap it, use the force, and the next unit you play is reduced by 2. That card's just been great for me, assuming that I was able to get the force on that first turn. Both the blue and the green bases really allow that very, very easily. And then I'm able to just kind of explode on turn 2 with a 5 unit or a 5 resource unit.
Yeah, when building decks, I've noticed myself gravitating to the blue and the green bases more because I feel like the red and the yellow ones aren't as powerful. The effect of when a friendly unit deals 3 or more combat damage to an enemy base, gaining the force feels way too similar to when you complete an attack with a force unit, you get the force. And I would much rather the 3 HP there for the slight change in effect. And then the yellow base, like, I just don't want to be exhausting my own units to get the force. I want to be attacking with my units or using their abilities, whatever it may be. That I just,
Exhausting them to use the force.
yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to make the force just by tapping them. I guess if you have some smaller units, like the 1/1 Anakin that's hidden and shielded, that one might be a good candidate to just continually make the force for you. But I've been much less impressed with these 2 bases.
Or a Porg.
Or yeah, sure, or a Borg. It's pretty good, but
Just give a 0 mana or a 0 resource, tap, gain the force. It's not
I
so
mean,
bad.
no, it's not awful.
Until he gets attacked, and then
I,
you got 1 force token out of it.
Well, yeah, but then they had to attack my board.
True,
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
mean it's the cunning or the aggression base is weaker, but they definitely are miles below the cunning and command, or the vigilance and command ones.
Yeah, and then that leads to me being a lot higher on playing red leaders this set because I want red for force throw and for some of the other good cards that we're getting in this set in red, like the red 2/4. That's a Jedi. So cards like Anakin or cards like Han 2 have been leaders that I'm gravitating towards, so that I can then play the blue 25 HP base or the green 25 HP base because those 2 are so powerful. But red itself is also a powerful color with force.
Yeah, it does feel like we've gotten a bit of a shift. Cunning has been so strong for so many sets. This set seems like we're, I mean, at least on the base side, leaning away from it, and these bases are powerful enough to like draw you to those colors, and then obviously force throw and red, as well as some of the other stuff that we got. I find myself gravitating towards those 3 colors a lot more than cunning, and I think for the first at least 3 sets, it was a very, very cunning, 3.5 sets even, very cunning heavy meta.
I think there is possibly some bias there just by looking at the bases. Like, you look at the base and it looks bad, but I think the card pool itself in yellow is actually pretty good still. We're getting Qui-Gon Jinn, the unit, which is very good. The Ambusher. There was a 6 resource Ambusher that I don't remember exactly what it did, but I remember liking it. There was the new
Yeah,
3/4 that uses the Force to enter play ready. I think there's still a lot of powerful cards there, and it's possibly something that we need to look
Absolutely.
into. But it's not the first one.
Absolutely, cunning
Building.
is still powerful, but I feel like for the first time, looking at cunning means like actually rejecting a subset of cards that's very good. Whereas before, it was cunning's card pool was just so strong. I mean, we didn't have a cunning base before. At almost any point in this game, we haven't had a powerful cunning base, but it's not so much that I feel like, oh, nobody's going to play this base, therefore nobody's going to play cunning. I just mean because the blue and green bases are just so strong that it like makes you want to play blue or green, and then that tying up one of your colors. Now, I mean, what else am I giving up? All these super strong green plays or that blue base or force throw. There's a lot more variability, I think. I mean, that comes with just us having more cards in general, but I think we're getting closer to like a true balance between them.
Having that balance is a very good thing, though, because like having deck building be difficult and not just, oh, I guess all the cunning cards are good. I'll just play cunning. Like having those decisions there is very important for the game, and I like the direction that we're moving in, closer to parity, where you know choosing your color pairing isn't so simple anymore.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, punning itself is still an insane card. We saw a huge decrease in that, but card is still insane. So there's always going to be some incentive towards, building the double yellow deck. So another thing that we missed out on talking with you guys about was all the new promos that we saw from Galactics. I got a couple of my personal favorites up here, but Nikki can probably break down how exactly we're getting these because I'm still a little confused by the pack structure.
Yeah, so from what I understand it, there's going to be three different packs of promos at Galactics. It sounds as if these packs are going to be similar to the weekly play packs, where it's going to have three cards in it of the exclusive art that pertains to that pack. Uh, the three different packs are the silver pack, the black pack, and then the prize wall pack. The silver pack can be earned on day one. And if I remember correctly, the stream was, over a week ago now, so I'm trying to remember. But if I remember, it was you get a pack per win on day one, and anyone that has a day one buy will get 7 packs. The black pack is, again, I believe it's pack per win on day 2 and 3. And then the prize wall pack, I don't believe they've announced how many tickets it'll cost, but again, you can buy that off the prize wall for X amount of tickets, and we'll have those 3 promo cards in it. So it's pretty cool seeing that we're going to get 3 separate and distinct sets of cards, meaning we're probably going to get upwards of 40 promo cards at Worlds, all with new art. So that's pretty exciting, and I'm super pumped, especially if they all look like these, because the artwork on these are beautiful.
Yeah, especially if they're all on foil, right?
No, no, no. They are all in foil, and that really upsets me because I refuse to play with foils. Because if I get a judge call about my foils pringling, I'm going to pull my hair out. So the fact that they're foil actually doesn't excite me at all. But I guess they can, get sold. They're put in a Twin Suns deck or something like that.
Yeah, I mean they look pretty in the binder.
They look great. It's just, the playability. Maybe if they don't pringle, that would be awesome. But we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, relax. Pretty much no TCG has figured out that one, so I
Well,
think that'll be a little bit tough.
isn't the Obi-Wan promo from the sectors like not horrible? I feel like I haven't seen the sector promos pringling. So if they use a similar foiling for these, maybe it won't be the end of the world.
Actually, being completely honest, I got some weekly play foils that are just sitting on my desk right in front of me, and they haven't been even in a sleeve since I opened them because I just didn't care. And they're actually not pringled at all. I mean, it's obviously weather dependent. I've got some hyperspace foils that it's questionable having them in my deck, but I guess the prestige cards and the weekly foils haven't pringled quite as much. We can cross our fingers, right? I
Yeah,
love shiny cards.
I love shiny cards as much as the next guy. I'm just hoping I can play them in my deck without feeling too worried that I'm going to get a judge call. But only time will tell. And if I can play these, I definitely will because they look nice.
Well, the key is you just foil every, and then nothing stands out, even if they all pringle.
I've considered it, but like I'm already all the way to a fully hyperspace deck where it's like it's gonna be such a headache if I wanted to upgrade that all the hyperspace foil.
No,
But
I totally understand.
yeah,
And then even that's not without its faults. Like the one time in my entire life that I ever got a game loss for curled foils was in Magic, and it was actually for foils that weren't curled enough because I had my completely foil deck and I had just bought a couple new cards that I was going to test out for the tournament, and they were nice and flat, so they stuck out a little bit too much, and it was an awkward situation. But even all foil doesn't necessarily save you from it. It is a tough thing in card games where you want to play the cool versions, but then you're not allowed to play the cool versions. Mike, do you play with foils? I don't feel like I've ever really paid enough attention to know your feelings on. I don't think you have foils in your deck, but do you hate them as much as Nicky does?
I actually am a freak, and I actually am probably going to get some hate for this. I don't play the nice versions of any cards. I actually only like playing in tournaments with the base version, with the most basic version that I have available to me. I will not play pretty cards. I won't play foil. I don't usually play hyperspace cards. The deck that I played this weekend was all basic cards except for one hyperspace, no glare only results. So, no, I don't play with any foils. I do like looking at them. I do think the cards are cool, but playing them in my deck is a no-go. I don't want to play around with that at all.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I definitely see it both ways. I've always been the foils are the cool card in the pack, therefore I want my whole deck to be the cool cards in the pack. But seeing the other arguments I mean, it's not hard for me to imagine myself on the other side of that with very little thought to be like, you know what, that's actually just correct.
I mean, who knows?
Especially
Maybe
Mickey's deck all hyperspace.
yeah,
That's clean. It does have a nice look to it.
who knows? Maybe getting a bunch of these promos that I can't put in my constructed decks might actually force me to build a Twin Suns deck for once. Can't can't actually see that being true, but
Yeah,
wishful.
I'd rather just sell the promos.
I mean, fair
At this
enough.
point, you're just gonna sit in my binder and look cool before. I don't know. I mean, I should probably stop hating on Twin Suns because, especially this set, when I'm building my decks, I just keep thinking to myself, man, if only I could be heroic red, blue, and green.
Yeah, but then you only get to have one force throw.
It's fun. I don't know. I guess if people are going to enjoy the game. I enjoy that people enjoy the game. I don't want to sound like too much of a Twin Suns hater. I don't hate the players. I don't hate all the players. Just I prefer competitive games. I had a quick amend on that one, but
You tried to be nice. It's okay.
I it's just all right, guys. So before we wrap up, any other spicy takes? Anything that's really catching your eye with testing?
I mean, I've been playing as I've foreseen. We talked about it 2 weeks ago now, maybe 3 weeks, when it first got spoiled as being a potential card that I was looking at. I have not broken it. I've done some really cool things with it. I've played an OB for 1 mana. I've played a Reinforcement Walker for 5 mana. So, a lot of cool things I've been able to do with it. It lets me do some really explosive things that look very funny when I send screenshots to the group chat. But besides that, nothing really crazy going on.
Has it been consistent, or has it been kind of like sometimes you get lucky and then you take a picture of it?
I mean, I send you a picture probably every other time it happens when it's a different card. Um, you got a bunch of pictures today, so I would say it
There was a lot
happens.
of pictures.
I would say it happens pretty much every game. You get to play an as foreseen and do the thing. It really depends if it's amazing or not. When it's amazing, you win the game on the spot. When it's okay, the game continues and you're ahead. So both are good. I've been happy with it. I want to see where it goes.
Yeah, that's definitely a cool card. One of the things I've been jamming a bunch was that Avar Chris leader. It's got a super late flip, but I do think that if you're not playing the blue force base, then the ability to just get the force on demand, have it ready for the turn 2 tapping of the Jedi Consular has been super strong. I think that even though it maybe wasn't a meta deck before, I think that she like more or less immediately replaces Yoda in that like big blue green ramp heroism deck. I'm excited to keep playing with that card. And then you flip it and it's an 8/10. Like it just smashes so hard. It's like a green Anakin with a slightly slower flip, but a very powerful leader ability.
When is the earliest you flipped her?
7 resources. And like I feel like you can do it like relatively easy on 7 resources. And I mean that 7 resource turn can come as early as turn 5. You know what I mean? You can get a little bit ahead on it. Even turn 4 is a little bit trickier, but I mean with that ETH card like pretty consistently like trading into something and ramping you because again you just have the force on demand. And then if you have the force going into that turn, you use it with something, you use her to get it again, you use it again, and then flip her over. It's definitely still a slow flip. Like you have to accept that your leader has a slow flip, but you're building a game plan where the turns early in the game, we just saw we didn't make it into the slide. It card got spoiled at some point today and it didn't make it in, but that removal spell where it's like basically kill everything, kill anything that's not a leader for 4 resources if you use the force, like that's super strong. Super strong. And the Jedi Consular also, like that's a pretty easy way to use the force. You have enough ways to use the force and you can build in a way that you get a couple extra ones to just power out a slightly earlier flip turn. And then I mean if you can flip it early, like even if you don't have the force anymore, like the 4/10 that becomes an 8/10 probably next regroup phase, it's very, very powerful. I've liked her a lot, especially if I want to build a deck that wants to use the force more than once per turn, because that seems pretty hard to do. I think we will get to a point where people start playing around things like Ethkoth and killing it when you don't have the force, like making a point of trying to kill it when you don't have the force so that you don't get the benefit from it. But that remains to be seen. I think the force is going to be important next set. That's probably the biggest reason that I think the meta is going to get shooken up so much. I think a lot of games are going to revolve around the force is with me, the force is not with me, and do I have ways to profit off of that?
Yeah, I'll continue dreaming about Oggdo, Bogdo, and Vader, and I'll get sucked into building some hero decks. I've been playing a little bit of blue green, but and I guess that Han blue deck I've been playing a little bit of, but still very early stages. I don't have any strong opinions except for that blue villain cards are very good, and I'll continue saying that until I die. So whatever, standard stuff.
Yeah, I can't tell you what decks are going to be good, but I can tell you all these decks have been fun. Like I actually have been having a lot of fun playing with the new cards. I know you guys have too. Nice to get out of that grind of Sabine and Kira and EQs and all that, and really open up the brain and the brewer mentality and try to find stuff. Be the first one to come up with a cool idea.
Yeah, the idea that like all of the work that we're putting in trying to like brew decks and break the format is directly correlated to Galactic Championship results is kind of cool. It's like some days you really want to brew and some days you don't, but you can just convince yourself that hey, if I keep brewing and I keep trying to figure out how to break this, like we're all going to have a great time at Galactics and have a super deep run. So that thought is very, very enticing.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, if I fell into a coma today and woke up the day before Galactics, I'd still have a great time at Galactics. Like that's gonna be a fun time regardless whether we break the format or not. But I am like you, where losing isn't a ton of fun, and I have a lot more fun when I'm winning. So I know what you mean there. I'm excited for that trip,
Right.
regardless.
That trip's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's my first time in Vegas. I don't know about you guys, but it'll definitely be. I mean, you guys are only what, like 15, 16 years old, so it's not.
Right. All right, Grandpa.
You won't get to enjoy the whole Vegas experience, but
22. All right, Grandpa.
I'll be newly 22. We'll have some fun, Nikki.
we,
We can go to like an ice cream store or something.
Dude, ice cream. Yay.
all right, guys, that about does it for us this week. We do not have a PQ on the schedule. Like we were saying, we've mostly shifted the brains towards Set 5 testing. If you guys think that there's something cool going on that we're a little bit oblivious to, drop us a message, leave a comment in the YouTube, send us a message on Discord, Instagram, wherever. We'll come across it. We're looking for any and every suggestion. This is definitely the no bad ideas portion of Star Wars, where everything is going to kind of get thrown through the grinder, and we're gonna see what comes out. Until next time, remember, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, brag about us. We might not have been at regionals this year, but our presence was sorely missed. Um, and I think we could have taken some of those top 8 spots away from KTOD. Shout out those guys. 4 out of 8 in the top 8 is actually insane. Maybe we'll spend a little bit of time talking about regionals next week. We had a big amount of stuff to cover, and we didn't have all 5 of us, so we'll save that. But yeah, we do all this stuff. Reach out to us, send us your lists. We'll test them. If you guys want to get testing games into us, just kind of shoot us a message on Discord or something. We're always down to play some games with people and just see your ideas play out and test ours kind of against an open field, because that's what we're going to be getting ready to be doing. Until next time, we will see you guys on Against the Galaxy podcast.